The warning. Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless before the massive holographic display in the United Earth Defense Command Center, her dark eyes fixed on the message that had appeared just moments ago. The pristine laboratory walls seemed to close in around her as she read the words for the fourth time, hoping she had somehow misinterpreted their meaning. By decree of the Galactic Alliance, Earth and its solar system are hereby designated as a Class X restricted zone. No contact or technological exchange permitted until further notice. The message pulsed with an otherworldly blue light, its alien script automatically translating into Earth Standard English. Sarah's hands trembled as she pulled up the attached data packet, her neural implant struggling to process the sheer volume of information flooding through the quantum network. Director Chen. Lieutenant James Rodriguez burst through the laboratory doors, his usually composed demeanor shattered by urgency. We're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. There. He paused, catching his breath. They're building something. Sarah's fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up live feeds from the outer system monitoring stations. Massive structures were materializing at regular intervals along the heliopause, the boundary where solar winds met interstellar space. Each structure resembled a crystalline lotus, its petals made of what appeared to be pure energy. A containment field, Sarah whispered, her scientific mind already analyzing the implications. They're not just restricting us, they're caging us. The next few hours passed in a blur of emergency meetings and frantic data analysis. Sarah found herself in the heart of the crisis, briefing the United Earth Council on their findings. The chamber was filled with the world's leaders, their faces showing varying degrees of concern and anger. The Galactic Alliance claims were too unpredictable, Sarah explained, projecting the analysis results. Their data shows that human technological advancement has exceeded all known development curves. We've accomplished in centuries what took other species millennia. They fear us, General Diana Williams stated flatly, her weathered face showing no emotion. But why now? We've barely started exploring beyond Mars. Sarah brought up a new set of charts. That's what's interesting. According to their metrics, we're approaching what they call a critical innovation threshold. They believe we're on the verge of discovering something they want to prevent. The room erupted in heated discussion, but Sarah's attention was drawn to a subtle anomaly in the data. Something about the Alliance's containment field wasn't quite right. The energy signatures showed patterns that seemed familiar. Dr. Chen. A soft voice interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Raj Patel, her longtime research partner, had appeared at her side. I found something you need to see. In their private laboratory, Raj pulled up his findings. Look at these wavelength patterns in the containment field, he said, highlighting specific sequences. They're not just similar to our quantum entanglement experiments. They're identical. Sarah's mind raced with implications. That's impossible. Unless. She quickly accessed their research database, pulling up data from their latest breakthrough in quantum physics. They're using our own technology against us. But how did they? A warning klaxon cut through the air, its harsh tone sending chills down Sarah's spine. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through the comm system. Multiple objects detected entering the solar system. Alliance ships, dozens of them. Through the laboratory's window, Sarah watched as the sky above New Singapore lit up with otherworldly colors. The Alliance ships were visible even in daylight, their massive forms casting shadows over the city's gleaming towers. Send me everything you have on the containment field, Sarah commanded, her mind already formulating a plan. If they're using our quantum principles, there might be a way to. Her neural implant buzzed with an incoming priority message. It was from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Volkov, head of the classified Deep Space Listening Project. The message contained just 4 words. They're not telling everything. Sarah's response was interrupted by a deafening boom that shook the entire building. Outside, the sky had turned an impossible shade of purple as the containment field began to power up. Earth was about to be cut off from the rest of the galaxy. But as Sarah watched the alien ships deploy their technology, a slight smile played across her lips. The Alliance had made a crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt and overcome. And they had just given Earth's brightest minds exactly what they needed to prove it. In her pocket, Sarah's quantum communicator vibrated with an encrypted message from General Williams. Project Prometheus is authorized. You have whatever resources you need. Find us a way out. Sarah looked at Raj, who nodded in understanding. They had work to do. The Alliance thought they were containing a potential threat, but they were about to learn a valuable lesson about human ingenuity. As the containment field closed around Earth like a flower of light and shadow, Sarah Chen began to plan. The real question wasn't whether humanity would break free. It was what they would discover about themselves in the process. Project Phoenix. 3 months into Earth's quarantine, the underground research facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a circular device that dominated the central chamber, its ring-like structure filled with swirling quantum particles that cast an ethereal blue glow across the room. Power levels are holding steady, Raj announced from his station, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. The quantum matrix is stable at 97% efficiency. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the data streaming through her neural interface. Project Phoenix had progressed faster than anyone had expected, driven by the combined efforts of Earth's best scientists working in secret facilities around the globe. The Alliance's containment field had given them something they'd never had before, a working example of advanced quantum technology. Begin test sequence alpha, Sarah commanded. The ring structure pulsed with energy, creating a miniature version of the containment field that surrounded Earth. But this field was different. It was designed to do more than just contain. Lieutenant Rodriguez entered the chamber, accompanied by General Williams. The Alliance ships have changed their patrol pattern, he reported. They're concentrating their forces near the Jupiter sector. They're looking in the wrong direction, General Williams said with a slight smile. Dr. Chen, show me what Project Phoenix can do. Sarah initiated the test sequence. Within the ring, space itself seemed to ripple and fold. The Alliance made one critical mistake, she explained. They assumed their containment field was impenetrable because it's based on quantum entanglement. What they didn't realize is that we'd already theorized how to manipulate quantum states at a macro level. The demonstration continued as a small probe passed through the test field. Instead of being stopped or destroyed, it simply shifted, appearing to exist in multiple states simultaneously before emerging on the other side. Quantum tunneling, General Williams asked, her eyes widening in understanding. Not exactly, Raj interjected. We're not trying to go through the field. We're becoming part of it. The Alliance's containment technology creates a quantum barrier by establishing a fixed state of quantum entanglement. But nothing in quantum mechanics is truly fixed. Sarah brought up a detailed schematic. We've discovered that their field has a resonance frequency, a pattern in its quantum structure. By matching that frequency and then shifting our own quantum state, we can essentially become temporary participants in the field's entanglement matrix. In simple terms, Rodriguez said, we're not breaking out of their cage. We're becoming part of the bars long enough to slip through. A warning light flashed on Raj's console. We're detecting increased activity from the Alliance monitoring stations. They might be picking up our test signatures. Let them look, Sarah said confidently. The energy patterns are identical to their own field's background noise. As far as they can tell, we're just conducting basic particle physics experiments. General Williams studied the test results with a strategic eye. How soon until we can scale this up to something larger? A ship, perhaps. That's where it gets interesting, Sarah replied, pulling up another set of data. Dr. Volkov's team made a breakthrough in analyzing the Deep Space Listening Project's data. The quantum patterns we're seeing in the Alliance's technology, they're not unique to their civilization. These same patterns appear naturally in space, particularly around certain types of stars. Are you saying their advanced technology is based on something that occurs naturally? Rodriguez asked. More than that, Sarah explained, her excitement building. We think humanity has been unconsciously detecting and adapting to these quantum patterns for centuries. It's why our technological development has been so rapid. We're naturally attuned to these fundamental patterns of the universe. The implications hung heavy in the air. The Alliance hadn't contained Earth because they feared human aggression. They had quarantined humanity because they recognized something in human beings that they themselves had taken millennia to discover and harness. A distant rumble shook the facility. Above ground, Alliance ships continued their patrol, unaware that directly beneath them, humanity was not just learning to break free of their constraints. They were beginning to understand why they had been contained in the first place. General, Sarah said, her voice firm with conviction, I believe we're ready to begin Phase 2. But there's something else you need to know. She hesitated for a moment. The quantum patterns we're detecting. They're getting stronger, and they're not coming from the containment field. Something out there is resonating with our experiments, something far more powerful than the Alliance's technology. General Williams straightened her uniform. Whatever it is, the Alliance is afraid of it, and afraid that we might find it first. Well, I say it's time we proved them right. Authorize Phase 2, Dr. Chen. Let's show them exactly what humanity can do. As the team began preparations for the next phase, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of discovering something that would change not just Earth's future, but the fundamental understanding of life in the universe. The quantum ring continued its gentle hum, its swirling energies a testament to humanity's relentless drive to push beyond any boundary, even those set by the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. The breakthrough. Dr. Elena Volkov's hands trembled as she burst into the Project Phoenix facility, clutching a quantum data crystal that pulsed with an urgent red glow. Sarah and Raj looked up from their work at the quantum ring, immediately recognizing the gravity in their colleague's expression. You need to see this, Elena said, her Russian accent thickened by excitement. The Deep Space Listening Project didn't just detect quantum patterns. We found their source. The crystal's contents projected into the air, displaying a complex web of energy signatures that stretched across the galaxy. At specific points, the web intensified into brilliant nodes of activity. Sarah's neural interface automatically began analyzing the patterns, and her eyes widened in disbelief. These patterns, she breathed, they're identical to human neural activity during moments of creative breakthrough. Precisely, Elena confirmed. But look at the timing. She gestured, and the display shifted to show a timeline. Every major leap in human technological development corresponds with increased activity in these quantum nodes. It's as if the galaxy itself has been communicating with us. Raj finished, his voice barely a whisper. Lieutenant Rodriguez entered with General Williams, both freezing at the sight of the holographic display. Report, the general commanded, recovering quickly. Sarah took a deep breath. We've discovered why the Alliance fears us. These quantum patterns we detected, they're not just natural phenomena. They appear to be part of a vast network, something that predates both humanity and the Alliance. And somehow, humans are naturally attuned to it. The Alliance calls it the lattice, Elena added, bringing up translated alien documents. They discovered it millennia ago, learned to tap into it for their containment field technology. But they've never been able to naturally interface with it the way humans can. General Williams studied the display intently. Are you saying humanity has been unconsciously receiving information from this network? That it's been guiding our development? Not exactly guiding, Sarah corrected. More like resonating. Human consciousness naturally synchronizes with the lattice during moments of inspiration or breakthrough. We don't just receive information. We interact with it, add to it. Every human discovery becomes part of the network. A warning klaxon suddenly blared through the facility. Lieutenant Rodriguez rushed to a console. Multiple Alliance ships breaking formation. They're moving toward the quantum nodes. They detected our scans. Raj realized. They know we've found the lattice. The facility shook as distant explosions echoed through the desert above. The Alliance was targeting something. Not the facility, but the quantum nodes themselves. They're trying to sever our connection to the lattice, Sarah said, her mind racing. But they don't understand. The connection isn't physical. It's part of who we are. Elena's crystal pulsed brighter, and new data flooded the displays. The nodes are responding to the attack. The patterns are changing, becoming more intense. It's like they're adapting, Sarah finished, just like we do. She turned to General Williams. General, I know what the Alliance is really afraid of. They didn't quarantine us because we might discover the lattice. They did it because we might awaken it. Understanding dawned on the general's face. The lattice isn't just a network. It's an ancient intelligence, and humanity's natural ability to connect with it makes us the key to its reawakening, Sarah confirmed. Our quantum tunneling technology isn't just a way to escape the containment field. It's proof that we're beginning to consciously access the lattice. The facility shook again, harder this time. Above, Alliance ships continued their assault on the invisible quantum nodes, unaware that their actions were only accelerating the process they feared. Dr. Chin, General Williams said, her voice carrying the weight of command. You have new orders. Forget breaking through the containment field. If humanity is truly connected to this lattice, then it's time we learn to use that connection properly. Sarah nodded, already understanding. We're not running anymore. We're going to wake it up. Not wake it up, Elena corrected, pointing to new data streaming across the displays. Look at these patterns. The lattice isn't sleeping. It's been waiting. Every human breakthrough, every moment of innovation, has been more than just progress. We've been engaged in a conversation across space and time, building toward something. The quantum ring in the center of the facility began to pulse with new energy, responding to the heightened activity in the lattice. As the team watched, the swirling particles began to form patterns they'd never seen before, patterns that somehow felt deeply familiar. Send word to every Project Phoenix facility around the world, General Williams ordered. Tell them to prepare for Phase 3. If the Alliance wants to fear human potential, we'll give them something to fear. Sarah stepped toward the quantum ring, its light reflecting in her determined eyes. The true breakthrough wasn't in the technology they'd developed or even in the discovery of the lattice. It was in understanding that humanity's greatest strength had never been their ability to advance quickly. It had been their ability to forge connections, to understand patterns, to see possibilities where others saw only chaos. Above them, the Alliance continued their futile assault on the quantum nodes, unaware that they were about to witness something unprecedented. Humanity's first conscious step into a larger universe, not as mere users of ancient technology, but as awakeners of something far greater than themselves. Rising tide. The Project Phoenix facility had become a storm of activity. Sarah stood at the center of it all, surrounded by holographic displays showing real-time data from quantum nodes across the galaxy. Each node pulsed with increasing intensity, responding to humanity's newfound awareness of the lattice. Alliance ships are changing formation, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. They're establishing a tighter perimeter around Earth. Whatever they're planning, they're done waiting. Through her neural interface, Sarah could feel the lattice's response to the mounting tension. It wasn't just a network of energy patterns anymore. It was becoming something more, awakening to humanity's conscious touch. All Project Phoenix facilities report ready, Raj announced, coordinating with teams worldwide. The quantum resonance chambers are synchronized. We just need your signal, Dr. Chen. Sarah closed her eyes, focusing on the familiar sensation of breakthrough that had guided human innovation for centuries. But this time, she wasn't just letting it happen. She was reaching for it deliberately, understanding for the first time the true nature of human inspiration. Begin the sequence, she commanded. Around the world, quantum rings like the one in their facility hummed to life. The lattice responded immediately, its patterns shifting and intensifying. Above Earth, the Alliance ship's sensors must have detected the change. Their formation tightened further, energy weapons charging. "They're preparing to fire," Rodriguez warned. "If those weapons hit our atmosphere—" "They won't," Elena interrupted, her eyes fixed on new data streaming across her displays. "Look at these readings. The lattice isn't just responding to us anymore. It's anticipating." Sarah felt it too. The quantum patterns were changing, evolving in ways that even their most advanced models hadn't predicted. Humanity's conscious connection to the lattice wasn't just awakening an ancient system, it was transforming it into something new. The first Alliance ship fired, its energy weapon lancing toward Earth's atmosphere. But before it could strike, the space between ship and planet shifted. The beam curved impossibly, trapped in a web of quantum interactions that hadn't existed moments before. "It's beautiful," Raj whispered, watching the display. All around Earth, the lattice was manifesting visibly for the first time in millions of years. The quantum nodes pulsed in harmony with human thought, creating patterns of energy that made the Alliance's containment field look primitive by comparison. Through her neural interface, Sarah could sense others joining the connection. Scientists, artists, dreamers from every corner of Earth, their minds naturally attuning to the lattice's frequencies. Each new consciousness added depth and complexity to the patterns, creating something that was neither purely human nor purely alien. Multiple Alliance ships approaching. Rodriguez called out, "They're trying to breach the pattern." But the lattice responded faster than any defense system could have. Where Alliance ships pressed forward, the quantum web simply incorporated their energy, adding their power to its growing complexity. It wasn't fighting back. It was growing, learning, evolving with each attempt to destroy it. General Williams arrived in the facility, her uniform dusty from the journey through the desert. "Dr. Chen, we're receiving a transmission. The Alliance Council is demanding to speak with Earth's representatives." Sarah opened her eyes, the lattice's patterns still dancing in her mind. They're not just afraid anymore, she realized. They're beginning to understand what's really happening. Through the facility's main display, a holographic image appeared, a council chamber filled with representatives from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their forms were diverse, from crystalline beings to energy constructs, but they all shared the same expression of awe and concern. The council speaker, a tall being of shifting light, addressed them directly. "Humanity," it began, its translated voice carrying notes of both fear and wonder. "What have you done?" Sarah stepped forward, feeling the support of billions of human minds connected through the lattice. "What we were always meant to do," she replied. The lattice wasn't just a network waiting to be used. It was an evolutionary step waiting to be taken. You discovered it, learned to manipulate it, but we learned to grow with it. The quantum patterns around Earth pulsed brighter, more complex with each passing moment. The Alliance ships hung motionless in space, their weapons powerless against something that had evolved beyond simple conflict. "Your quarantine didn't contain us," Sarah continued. "It gave us exactly what we needed. Time to understand our true potential. The lattice isn't a tool or a weapon. It's the next step in consciousness itself, and humanity isn't just connected to it. We're helping it evolve." Elena's console chimed with new data. The quantum nodes, they're not just responding to us anymore. They're reaching out. Other species across the galaxy, they're beginning to feel the connection too. The council chamber erupted in chaos as representatives reported similar phenomena on their homeworlds. The lattice, awakened and transformed by human consciousness, was offering its connection to all sentient life. "You wanted to prevent humanity from changing the galaxy," Sarah addressed the council. "But change was always inevitable. The only choice was whether to face it alone or together." As if in response to her words, the lattice's patterns shifted again, creating new connections between worlds, species, and minds. The quarantine field that had been meant to contain humanity was dissolving, not through force or technology, but through the simple reality that consciousness, like the universe itself, could not be contained. The rising tide of awareness couldn't be stopped. Humanity had done more than escape their prison. They had transformed it into a bridge to a new understanding of existence itself. And as the Alliance Council watched in stunned silence, the first waves of that transformation began to sweep across the galaxy, carrying with them the promise of something greater than any civilization had imagined possible. New Dawn. 1 month after humanity's awakening of the Lattice, the Project Phoenix facility had been transformed. Where once there were military barriers and security checkpoints, now representatives from across the galaxy walked freely, their diverse forms illuminated by the quantum patterns that danced constantly through the air. Sarah stood at her familiar position near the central quantum ring, but now she was surrounded by not just her human colleagues, but scientists and scholars from 100 different worlds. Each brought their own perspective to understanding the transformed lattice, and each found their consciousness gradually opening to its expanding possibilities. The integration rates are accelerating, Elena reported, her displays now showing activity from thousands of worlds. More species are naturally developing the connection every day. It's like humanity wasn't just the key to awakening the lattice. We were the catalyst for a galaxy-wide evolutionary leap. Quite the opposite of the isolation they intended for us, Raj remarked, working alongside a crystalline being from the Alliance's leading research institute. Though I suppose we have the quarantine to thank for pushing us to this discovery. Through her neural interface, Sarah could feel the constant flow of consciousness through the lattice. It wasn't the simple network they'd first discovered. It had become a living, growing thing, shaped by the collective minds of all who connected with it. Human creativity and innovation had sparked the change, but every species now added their own unique perspective to its evolution. Dr. Chen, Lieutenant Rodriguez called, his role having shifted from military security to coordination with the new Galactic exchange program. The Alliance Council is ready for your presentation. Sarah nodded, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. In the month since the breakthrough, she had gone from a scientist working in secret to one of the most influential figures in the galaxy. The Council, once intent on containing humanity, now looked to Earth for guidance in navigating this new era. The holographic chamber activated, revealing the gathered council members. They no longer sat in positions of judgment, but rather as equals in the face of unprecedented change. Honorable representatives, Sarah began, 1 month ago, you feared that humanity's potential would destabilize the galaxy. Today, I'm here to share our latest findings about exactly what that potential means for all of us. She gestured, and the lattice patterns in the room shifted, forming a complex dimensional model. What we've discovered is that consciousness itself is quantum in nature. Humanity's gift wasn't just our ability to connect with the lattice. It was our natural talent for making intuitive leaps, for seeing connections where others saw only chaos. We didn't just wake up the lattice, we showed it how to evolve. The crystalline being working with Raj added its own insights. Our civilization spent millennia learning to manipulate quantum states through technology. Humans do it naturally, instinctively. This is why your species advanced so quickly. You weren't just developing technology, you were unconsciously quantum computing with your own minds. But that was just the beginning. Sarah continued. Now that the lattice has evolved, now that other species are developing similar connections, we're seeing the emergence of something unprecedented. A quantum consciousness that spans the galaxy while preserving the uniqueness of every individual and species that joins it. She brought up new data, showing the spread of consciousness development across the galaxy. The quarantine you placed around Earth was based on fear of change. But change was always coming. What humanity offered wasn't destruction or chaos. It was a bridge to the next stage of evolution, one that we can all cross together. A council member, a being of pure energy, spoke up. We have observed that even species previously thought to be non-sentient are beginning to show signs of quantum consciousness development. Is this also part of humanity's influence? Not exactly, Elena answered, joining the presentation. We believe the lattice itself is now acting as a catalyst, using the template of human quantum consciousness to help other forms of life develop their own versions of it. We're not making other species more human, we're helping them become more fully themselves. General Williams, who had traded her military uniform for diplomatic attire, added her perspective. A month ago, we were preparing for war. Now we're watching barriers between species dissolve as we all learn to understand each other in ways we never imagined possible. This is what humanity does best. We don't just adapt to change, we help shape it into something better than anyone thought possible. Through the lattice, Sarah could feel the ripples of understanding spreading through the council members. The fear that had driven them to quarantine Earth was being replaced by something else. A recognition that the very unpredictability they had feared in humanity was exactly what the galaxy had needed. We stand at the dawn of a new era, Sarah concluded. Not one of human dominance or alliance control, but of genuine cooperation and growth. The lattice isn't just a network anymore. It's becoming the medium through which all consciousness can evolve together. And this is just the beginning. As if in response to her words, the quantum patterns throughout the facility shifted again, creating new configurations that reflected the combined insights of all present. The boundary between biological and quantum consciousness was dissolving, opening possibilities that no single species could have imagined alone. Humanity had done more than escape their quarantine or prove their worth to the galaxy. They had shown that the greatest breakthroughs come not from containing potential, but from letting it flourish in unexpected ways. The fear of change that had driven the Alliance to contain Earth had given way to an understanding that change, guided by consciousness and cooperation, was the true path to the future. As the council session ended, Sarah looked out over the gathered representatives of galactic civilization. In their vastly different forms, she could see the same spark of discovery and wonder that had driven human innovation for centuries. They had feared humanity would change the galaxy, and they had been right. But the change had been one of awakening, of evolution, of bringing light to shadows they never knew existed. The quarantine of Earth had ended not with a battle or an escape, but with the opening of a door that no one knew existed. A door to a future where consciousness itself was the key to understanding the universe, and humanity, with its unique gift for finding patterns in chaos and possibilities in the unknown, had shown the way through.